come to tell our story. Rastafari live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Dread of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to the lion voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here, hear me now. Yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
In 2007, what was happening? There was a global Inity conference. At that time, now I was Rasta. And when I went to university, we also now helped register New Race Consciousness student chapter. The student chapter to facilitate the works inside the university, to bring the teachings, to encourage Rastas now to establish within the university so that I can get works going. But this one is a civic organization operating outside, as a non-profit organization. So that's 2006. So we didn't have resources when we started. Remember, we are just youth coming from universities, and also how elders still perceive the youth and the education. Some of them, they also feel insecure about some of the roles they already assume that maybe there's going to be competition in terms of the roles. These youths are from universities. There's some ways in which they conduct affairs, and that way is not different, and they're going to want to dominate INI in INI space and things like that. So, but the advantage of a university was that we had challenges of Bobo Shanti did not click well with the Nayabingi, and this did not click well with the 12th tribe. So at university, you could find a conducive space where whether you are from the Nayabingi, you're from the 12th tribe, you're from what, we can all be members of this one organization. So we thought that this one at the university and New Race Consciousness is actually a better model, a proper model of endangering Inity even among INI community. So
well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
Well, great is the Almighty, and greatly to be praised in the city of Haile Selassie I, the mountain of His holiness.
Yeah, from Cape to Cairo, from Timbuktu to the Nile, the whole entire continent.
Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, from Accra to Addis Ababa.
Yes, beautiful continent, better control, mama.
Very beautiful.
From Cape to Cairo, from Timbuktu to the Nile, I smile for Mama.
I hear you call Mama Africa. Been so long since I see Mama. Father of Africa set the law. The lion come and dismantle Babylon flaw. We gonna use solar energy, use sanitation to build the ecology. We utilizing green technology. We hailing Haile Selassie first without apology. And then we build the youth them economy. We dismantle.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Dejazmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man. I'm a creative industry attorney, I'm an artist, I'm an author, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Talk. Welcome to Lion Talk, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where we are engaging with the frontline workers in the vineyard of Rastafari. Give thanks and praises. We are here with another amazing program for the global Rastafari family. I promised that I would be talking to more of our brethren and sistren on the continent, and I like to deliver on the word sound that it will have power. So we give thanks. Today we're going forward to South Africa, and this is a special interview for I and I because it's a brethren that remind I of myself when I was treading through university, doing programming events. Brethren, reach out to I and we'll be planning an event moving forward. There will be more details down the line. We won't get ahead of ourselves. But the diligence and the initiative to reach out to speakers and different things, the brethren has read Haile Selassie's Ethiopia Volume 1 and sent I one of the greatest comments that I've ever received, since I've embarked on this Lion Voice journey, because it came from the continent. And basically the brethren was giving thanks for the works. The brethren has been watching the Lion Voice. So give thanks, and I did make a phone call to South Africa to Sister Mimi, our sister, and she did say she know the Isle full, So is the family coming together, and we give thanks for that. So who am I talking about? Lion Pride family. I see the brethren here with I. This is Ras Inity, otherwise known as Tohulu and Fulu, and you will correct I if the pronunciation was incorrect. I will go and get into the family name, all of that. Welcome, my brethren. Please introduce yourself to the Lion Voice, Lion Talk family.
Hail to the one, the Most High Creator and Haile Selassie, and this bona fide Queen Empress Menen Asfar. Yes, perfect balance of creation. Give thanks to the Lion Talk, the Lion Voice Network. Yes, for having Iman, Ras Inity, otherwise also known as Tulo Mpolo, all the way from South Africa. Yes, Iman is a member of the Rastafari community. Iman is an activist. He's a member of New Race Consciousness, member of Rastafari Appreciation Society, member of the Rastafari Ganja Council, member of the Rastafari Nation Council, just a member of the Rastafari community, fulfilling the works of the Most High as the youthful, energetic youth in this time, towards stepping forward to be ancients in this Iowa. Give thanks.
Give thanks. And the reason that I said that the brethren remind of myself, he's no longer in university, but I trod through university and we were reasoning about on-campus Rastafari organizations. I was part of the founding of a Rastafari organization, student organization at Howard University. The brethren was on campus doing Rastafari work, and we want to get into all of that because I want to paint a picture about the student works that are happening in South Africa and the different aspects of the community in South Africa. But before we go there, so tell us where you were born, and your journey to Rastafari.
Yes, well, Iman was born on the 7th of January, which I understand to be again in the Ethiopian calendar, in the year 1983. Yes, 41 years ago, So basically, that year was the year in which the apartheid government declared the state of emergency. That indicated that now there was the heightened level of resistance coming from the black ranks, African ranks. So they declared the state of emergency in 1983. That time, the president was still P.W. Botha, who refused to continue negotiations with Nelson Mandela. Then I was born in Welkom, in the province of Free State. The town was basically discovered by one known as Duplessis, who discovered the minerals, like the gold here, and actually developed the place and named the place Welkom and started working the land. But the Free State in general was basically named Free State as a result of the Anglo-Boer War. You will remember that the both people from the Dutch and Britain also came to colonize the same land. So they joined efforts together, but in their joining efforts, they also fought, among themselves, and that was called the Anglo-Boer War. And the Afrikaner, the Boers, were the ones now who had a sway and a hold in my province, my birth province, the Free State. And then they called it Free State to indicate that it was the land that was free from interference by the British. So that's how it came to be known as the Free State. You know, after it was named in honor also of the Prince of Holland, Prince Orange of Holland. You know, so those are
So it wasn't a free state for the Africans who were there already.
Africans were there already. They were found there by the Europeans, but
Yes.
it was made to be a free land, a free state for the Europeans.
For the Europeans. So how did the Boers treat the African people that were there? We know the history, but I want to hear it from the them who are there, because some may not know.
Well, actually, the Boers were the first people to exterminate the African people, the African Khoi people, jointly with the Xhosa people, because there were intermarriages between the Khoi people and the Xhosa people and the Sotho people. So they were all actually living in fellowship prior to the arrival of the Europeans. So even prior the arrival of Jan van Riebeeck, who came from Dutch through the Dutch East India Company in the 1652. There also came Bartholomew Dias and Vasco da Gama. And it was also, I think, reported that Francis Drake also secretly came and also declared war, I think 100 years before Jan van Riebeeck also came. So it took about 150 years after in 1510 actually was the year in which the Khoi king defeated the Europeans. And then after 150 years, that's when Jan van Riebeeck came. He's now the first European, Dutch, to exterminate the Africans in the south, the Khoi jointly with the Xhosas. And his maneuvers actually went to an extent of having overlordship over even the animals, which was the economy of the African people. He first made demands of the cattle, you know, and other animals, but he specifically made a demand of the cattle because cattle were used primarily for economic purposes. So, and he wanted cattle to exploit Africans and get cattle he would even set the prices himself, you know, unfair prices, and sometimes take cattle by force. So, and kill people and take their cattle by force and take land also by force. So they actually assumed and obtained all the land through genocide and murder. That's how they got to control much of the land that they would have ultimately colonized, which is, you know, the entire country basically.
Serious. So in terms of growing up in Free State, was there a lot of Rastafari influence around the as a young brethren coming up? What was the home life like as a young child?
Yeah, you know, from primary, because, you know, I went to primary school when I was age 6 in the year 1989. The year 1989 was actually the year prior to the official release of Nelson Mandela from prison. That was now under the presidency had changed. It was now F.W. de Klerk who was willing to negotiate and release Mandela. But now in 1989, prior to the release of Mandela, the apartheid government was still uneasy, and they would raid our schools, you know, and they would raid our schools and throw tear gas at us, you know, so some of us, and beat some of us, you know, and some of us would run away, and some of us would fight back by way of throwing back stones and things like that. So in hindsight, when one looks at it, one actually got politicized, you know, at a very young and tender age. But one did not actually understand the whole picture of what was happening. One is 6 years old, just, you know, entering primary school, you know. So, and then I passed all my grades because we were very bright when we were very young. We had, because even my mother and my father were both teachers, and my mother would alternate between teaching profession and the nursing profession. She would sometimes be working as a nurse and the other time be working as a teacher, you know. So that's how they also made me appreciate education. So I didn't actually have a lot of opportunity to be naughty and do things that were out of line most of the time. And when because my mother had actually taken charge of my education, I actually wanted to be the one who takes charge. My father worked in another town, not in Belcom, where I was born. It was my mother working in Belcom. My father worked in different towns, but also worked in a town called Kopis in Kwakwatsi. So uh, I was more time with my mother in Belcom. So what happened is that when I finished primary, my mother then I had it also, but she didn't let me know that okay, this is the school I wanted to take you to. So, and it was a former white school, called Welcome High School. Welcome High School. So when you get to that school, I mean, I didn't have a proper proficiency of the language. I didn't have a proper command of the language, and it was an English medium school, And then when you fail English, you fail the grades, So I had a little challenge transitioning, from a predominantly Soto speaking school now to an English speaking school. And then I failed that grade, standard 6 at the time, grade 8 now, So, but that was the only grade which I failed. And then after that, I was able to pick up and go right through grade 12, which is matric in South Africa. So when in that school, unfortunately, you are specifically told that you are not able to grow your hair. You should not grow your hair more than 1 centimeters tall or long, So, but when we look at our counterparts, our fellow students, we find that these other guys, they've got long hair. You know how white brothers and sisters have long hair, and it's longer than 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters. But you find for us, they're very strict, when monitoring. So it was up to grade 12. Only when you are in grade 12 would you be allowed to grow your hair long, and do style your hair anyhow you want. So that was when I was able to now grow my hair. That was the year, because I did my matric in 2001. But prior to my matric, because we used to enjoy partying and going to all this type of parties and enjoy ourselves. So in 1998, when I was doing grade 9, my mother passed away early 1998. I mean, late 1998. My mother passed away. And then in 1999, that's when we buried her in January 1999.
Sorry to hear that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So,
well, in 1998, I had tried, because we used to smoke like some cigarettes. So we mix it a little with some ganja, and some of my friends would tell me about Haile Selassie, but I wouldn't make anything of that. Remember, I was a church goer.
Yes.
Yes.
And what kind of parties? What kind of parties was there going to? What kind of music was at the parties?
We used to listen to house music. We used to listen to what at the time we used to call international music, like your American music. Like your American music, American music. That's what we used to listen. Yes. Deep
so
house.
This is before the Amo Piano take over. This is before Amo Piano take over. long before. Long. All right.
Yes, alongside Kwaito, because there was also what is called Kwaito music. So we used to listen to deep house and also listen to Kwaito music. We used to call ourselves Pantsulas. We used to be dancers, the Pantsula dancers. So that's when we used to use a lot of alcohol and smoke.
Yes.
So that's how I got introduced to the herb, basically through smoking.
Okay.
But when I was in grade 11, that's when now I started to get more of the Haile Selassie engagement from my cousin in the house now. Because my cousin, where they were, remember I was in a town school, in a white school, and my cousin were in the township school, in the locals. So in the locals is where they were catching more fire, getting more reasoning around Rastafari, but in terms of the articulation, that's where I think maybe there was something lacking there in terms of the brothers, but at least one could get some messages, bits and pieces of messages around Haile Selassie, Marcus Garvey. There were some codes we like to put on the wall to, like motivate ourselves, inspire ourselves. I remember there was some quotes of Marcus Garvey that used to say, God did not make a mistake when he made us black with kinky hair. There was also another quote of Marcus Garvey talking about the God. Our God is the Ethiopian, the everlasting Father, God of those who worship the God of Abraham, let them worship the God of Abraham. But I and I worship the God of Ethiopia, the everlasting God. So those are the type of things that. And then when we look at Haile Selassie, because remember now there's an image of Jesus that we also have from the churches, and now we try to juxtapose that with the image of Haile Selassie that we're also getting from the reggae music, because the reggae music also made me a lot of curious, because I was very attentive, because I understood English words, because I could hear that, okay, these reggae artists are making use of a lot of English, even though it's broken, but it's English, it's patois, but it's English I could hear more than some of my brethren from the local could hear. And remember, I was close to now matric. After I passed matric, now 2000, the year 2000 is the year now I'm passing matric, and is what is home to my roots festival in South Africa, where now the burning spear is coming, culture is coming, and I think the whalers were also coming there. So the fire was high at that time, even among the Britons, because there were some of the Britons who wanted to go. So I remember the year 2000 was the first year I actually visited an Ayabingi ground. It's the first time to my cousin, because they were like keeping the Sabbath, baking breads. On Friday, we'd see people baking breads, preparing ital, you know, and going for the Sabbath. So at one time, I would just, let me go with you and see what you're doing. So we go together, and then I see, oh, okay, this is what's happening. This is how the eyes chant, and this is everything. And then when I go to university, first year, 2011, 2001, when I go to university, that's when I got to get access to internet to now find for my own self about Haile Selassie. That's when I got to find some bit of historical information about Haile Selassie, his works. I got to understand a little even what other people are talking about. I now became someone who brought information to the INI, you know, from university. Now I'm the one now who's teaching the INI about these matters. So, and I remember my grandmother, because after the passing of my mother, we were now under the care of the grandmother. The grandmother did not approve at all of INI being Rastafari. So even the three colors that INI would have, she would want INI must remove that and put a plain head. The three colors, everything that would resemble or symbolize Ethiopia, His Majesty, she would not want around. But I remember I had one picture of His Majesty where His Majesty was standing among the university students. I went with that picture and showed the grandmother. I said, but mother, you said this man is problematic, but look, he promotes education. He's standing here among, you know, educated people. And he said, yes, he promotes education. He loves education, but look at you. You want to go out there and be a smoker of the herbs. You want to be this and that, but this man is not a smoker. He's not, you know. So I had to show and prove, you know, and give confidence to my grandmother and my parents that no, I'm actually, I am still in order. The issue is just the liberty that I and I are adopting certain practices, but those certain practices are not so harmful, because even there in the Rastafari community, there are elders who properly guide us. But I want to show them that as their child, who they have certain expectations from in terms of ascending through the academic ladder properly, how they anticipated, I wouldn't falter. So I consistently wanted to align myself at institutions of learning, but unfortunately, because they were strong in their feeling that no, this is the Rastafari way is actually a problem among and we're not going to tolerate this. So they tried all means, the social workers, the priests at the church, the police for counseling. Nothing succeeded for them, you know. So ultimately, they just just gave in to say, okay, this is how the eyes are. But they actually saw that we went back to it, because there was a time when my grandmother declared that, okay, I'm not going to pay for your fees anymore, because I suspect that with the fees I'm going to be giving you, you're going to deviate and not study, but promote your own life and, you know, buy your own things and do things like that. And I dropped out of university for 3 years. Remember, I passed my first year. I did not fail. So there was no reason for them to suggest that I could fail, because I had not failed. But it was just, something that they wanted to put in my mind to make me scared or make me discouraged, maybe, from the way of life. So I dropped out for 3 years of university, 2002, 2003, 2004. 2005, I think, yes. 2006, then there was another brethren who came, because my first year course was public administration and local government. And when I went for that course, because I passed my first year, when I went for that course, the course was phased out, from the institution. So I had to now change course and do another one. So I registered for another course, human resource management, So I did my human resource management until I obtained my master's at the university. But when I went to university, second time to now restart the course in 2007, we had already established new race consciousness. That was now 2007, because in the meantime, when I had dropped out, I loved to go to the library and spend more time in the library in town, because I wanted now to. I felt like I needed to write a book, because I was getting a lot of information about His Majesty. I wanted to break some things down and just write a book and give to Aina brethren. So there was another brethren whom I met, who came from another university in Gauteng and met me, and he saw that I was reading about His Majesty, and that caught his interest, and we got reasoning. And then after reasoning, that's when we reasoned about New Race. Let's establish an organization. What shall we call it? Okay, I came up with a name. Let's call it New Race. And he came up with a name. Let's call it New Race Consciousness. So we combined the names. So it's New Race Consciousness. And that was 2006 when we established it, but it had not yet registered. Only registered the organization in 2007. In 2007, what was happening? There was a global Inity conference. At that time, now I was Rasta. And when I went to university, we also now helped register New Race Consciousness student chapter. The student chapter to facilitate the works inside the university, to bring the teachings, to encourage Rastas now to establish within the university, so that I can get works going. But this one is a civic organization operating outside, as a non-profit organization. So that's 2006. So we didn't have resources when we started. Remember, we are just youth coming from universities, and also how elders still perceive the youth and the education. Some of them, they also feel insecure about some of the roles. They already assume that maybe there's going to be competition in terms of the roles. These youths are from universities. There's some ways in which they conduct affairs, and that way is not different, and they're going to want to dominate in INI space and things like that. So, but the advantage of a university was that we had challenges of Bobo Shante did not click well with the Nabingi, and this did not click well with the 12 tribe. So at university, you could find a conducive space where, whether you are from the Nabingi, you're from the 12 tribe, you're from what, we can all be members of this one organization. So we thought that this one at the university and New Race Consciousness is actually a better model, a proper model of endangering Inity even among INI community. So
were there a lot of Rastafari on campus when I was on the campus?
When I was on campus, there were not a lot of Rastafari on campus. It was not even fashionable to have Rastafari at universities and have Rastafari organizations.
Okay.
More so, because we now wanted to have a Rastafari organization. We wanted to be allocated an office, and we smoke hemp on campus, and then there's a problem because the laws of the universities does not allow. But we also are a community, and we are also want to argue our case in terms of the protection that we have in terms of the constitution. So it's a lot of argument. We want to intellectualize, and how university environment can be. So and now we are an organization. We are legitimate because we are representing a legitimate community. And in South Africa, the constitution says all communities are acceptable, all religions. People can practice their religion. We can engage in our religion in teaching and practice. So it's not only about teaching, it's also about practice, because we need to bring a better appreciation. The people have not been knowing INI. So we got to appreciate a lot, the university life, because even initially, when we look at how the Rastafari news got to be disseminated among the world community, it was through a university. Because remember, in 1960, before His Majesty went to Jamaica, it was the University of West Indies that conducted the investigation and produced a report about INI, So, and even in the 1983 International Assembly, it was still at the university, and it was still academics who were engaging and, bringing better models. So we find, okay, and we look at His Majesty's liberty to say, okay, His Majesty, he built schools, he built university. So actually the university liberty, the school liberty is the Rastafari trot, because we realize that, but this is the trot of His Majesty. So this is, and when you look at INI elders, and we find, okay, so there's a balance that INI we need to bring about. So that's how INI thought that, okay, new race is very relevant because we assessed all the other organizations in the country to say, okay, since His Majesty treasures education so much, he was the Minister of Education, the Chancellor of the university. Where is INI in the education? We look at the organizations and assess all the constitutions that INI could assess of the organizations. There's not even one that INI could find that makes emphasis on the education. So hence, even our constitution as New Race, we make it emphasis that for you to be eligible to be a member, you must either be in primary school, high school, tertiary, university, college, or you must either be a graduate to be able to come and make a contribution. If you have challenges, if you want to be a member of NRC and you have challenges of finding yourself in institutions of learning, then you need to bring your problem to NRC so that NRC can see how it assists one and one. So from now operating in the already available institutions of learning, we also thought, okay, the Nyabingi guidelines, because we're also from the Nyabingi background, so we also got access to the guidelines. And we saw that in the 22 proposals, there are proposals to develop and establish institutions wherever Rastafari reside. So we said, okay, there are a lot of organizations which are earmarked, and developing an organization depends on the ability, the capacity that one would have in terms of what type of organization that would be. So we thought, no, since we are well capacitated in the field of education, and there are now a lot of ones and ones, it's no longer Ayman alone. It's generations and generations now of brethren who have graduated, some who are still in the system, sisters now who are still in the system. So it's a whole community now of INI since INI have initiated the move from 2007, registering the organization.
And what university was this, and in what state was this?
It is former Vista University, because the universities after apartheid, the universities merged, the former white universities merged with the former black universities. So it was renamed from Vista University to Central University of Technology, Free State. So that's the university that we first established the organization, but it was already existing. There was another Rastafari organization existing in Gauteng in a university called Wits University. There's also another Rastafari organization existing in the Western Cape, Cape Town, called Him Society, His Imperial Majesty Society. There was another organization of Poet Sisters, which was existing in Free State, Central University of Technology, same institution as mine here in Brooklyn, there in Bloemfontein. Roots, it was Roots. Sisters were dealing more with Poet, and there was an agreement among all of INI to say, let us form one national organization, that will be Rastafari oriented organization that will be accountable like that. So because the nation is too dispersed, the provinces are too dispersed, and even INI are too dispersed. We have not been able to actually have that one national conference where now we agree. It has just since been a proposal, but it's still in the pipeline where INI can still.
Are any of those student organizations still in existence?
Yes, they are. All of them actually still in existence, because some of them do still hold events and activities, and some of them do invite INI, to carry out some lectures, conduct some lectures. So recently, one had just conducted a lecture in the Black History Month. One was invited by the Rastafari Appreciation Society to deliver a lecture, and one did that. So these are but we also wanted to establish like your research centers, your community clinics, because we also find that even in our hospitals, there are no herbal sections. It's just your conventional medication, and Rasta is ital people, and what also been able to do as New Race with the limited in Kwakwa in Jerusalem, which is also earmarked as a repatriation land. And what's nice about the land, is that there's a school there, a school building. The structure of the school is still in proper condition, even though I can say that the school still needs some repairs there and there. So what is happening is that there in that land, the land was issued to the Rastafari community by the king, Chief Mupedi, in the year 1986. So when the land was given to the Rastafari community, it has since been occupied by the Rastafari community from 1986. So, but the school had been closed for reasons that have not been certain to INI, even though INI had inquired. But INI had expressed the interest to reopen the school and help run the school and manage the school, because INI, in the new race consciousness, now we have graduates, people who are doing their PhDs in education, people who have also are teachers. There are a lot of teacher graduates. Some are already employed in the system, but some are unemployed. So we also want to open the school even for those ones who are unemployed of Rastafari, even those ones who are non-Rastas, who can be able to make a contribution to make sure that the school runs. We can enter into an arrangement with the government. We had already engaged with the government in terms of creating our own syllabus and our own curriculum and aligning it a little with them in terms of formal assessment and summative assessment.
That's a very important work that needs to be done, because we do not have a Rastafari school
So
anywhere in Haitian.
A lot of communities also in Eureka, in Tabancho. There's another community in Tabancho where New Race Consciousness was invited by Sister Mimi and Elder Zenabo. We were invited there. It's a land in Tabancho. Tabancho used to belong to, that land used to belong to the Putatswana government, but the land had since been taken over by the South African government. So there were people there living there, Rastafari community members living there, and some other members of other communities also making claims on the land. So when we went there to try and find out what was the situation, we find that, okay, even though Rastafari are making claim to the land, but their claim is not properly consolidated. There's no one accord among the item around the land. But there was also another elder, Mohapi, was also making claims on the land, but his claims were also not valid. So what we were able to do as New Race, we were able to mediate among the Rastafari community there to say help them how to set up proper community structures in which to consult with the rest of their communities to engage in meetings, agree on matters, and have progress. So in that land, there are houses, like about 25 houses, 25 middle class houses. There's a clinic, there's a restaurant, there's a school building, there's a workshop. There are a whole lot of facilities and infrastructure that I could just refurbish, and repair and make use for INI works. And in Jerusalem also, because we also wanted to survey, there's a stream water there, and there's also some spring water that flows from the rocks, forever flowing from the rocks. There are waterfalls there also, so, and there's water that can be bottled, Ital water that can be bottled. There were also ideas to infuse Ital ganja, and brand the water however we could drink the water.
Why do I think that local South African Rastafari community has not developed that land more? Because I've been hearing about Jerusalem from some time, from Queen Mother Moses has been sounding the trumpet, and I definitely want to ensure that we maintain that land. And I heard that the chief was also not pleased that more development had not been taking place, and that the people in that region also looking at the land. So why is it that that land has not been utilized, would I say?
Well, in our assessment, because members of NRC has been to the land on several occasions. We first went to the land in 2009 when there was a Nyabingi National Gathering. But unfortunately for NRC at the time, only delegates of the National Nyabingi we were not delegates from the Nyabingi House. We were representing NRC, so we were not part of the reasoning. But we took an opportunity to survey the land and just go through the land and observe what's happening. We had among ourselves the surveyors, land surveyors. We had among ourselves the geologists and the town planners, who were also willing to assist, develop, survey the land and get to develop the land. So these are the things that we had already offered. On top of NRC having offered also to assist in terms of properly running the school. So I think what the main challenge is agreement among the community members and the representative of the communities in Kwakwa, because currently the land is under the custodianship of an organization known as the Black Star Line. The Black Star Line is the one that has also expressed interest and made verbal requests to New Race Consciousness to assist, because the Black Star Line is familiar with New Race. They know the capacity. Most of our communities in South Africa now have become aware of the capacity of NRC. The only challenge of NRC would be, I think, monetary and other logistical resources. But in terms of the human resources, I think NRC would have done a proper job to at least garner some strength. So the Black Star Line had expressed the interest that let I come and run the school, but because NRC had also developed management policies and proper management policies, and we also drafted even the trust deed for the Jerusalem land, because there are a lot of things that need to be looked at when having to come to develop the land. So we have developed the trust deed that need to be perused by our legal experts in terms of the legality of the documents, and then get to present it to the Black Star Liner. If the Black Star Liner and the elders would adopt the plan, and because we wanted to adopt the school as New Race Consciousness, so some of the elders still have a problem because we are from maybe one town of the province. We are not from basically where the school is located. So some of the community members may feel that there are other people who come now to encroach and dominate us here in terms of the administration and management. So I think it's those insecurities that I still have that just need to be ironed out to give once and one's confidence that no, it's for all I, and it would actually benefit I more than it could do I any harm. Yes, because the school there has a lot of potential, even for like ITAL type of teachings, a special type of teachings that Rastafari communities know they can make a contribution around, because even other members of the communities have fallen in love with the Rastafari community there, and they had attended even regular the educational events, because once in a while there would be educational events that happen there, like your summer camp that would be initiated by Empress of Zion, Queen Mother Moses, and led by Sister Mimi here in South Africa. But that is not enough, because it's once off and it's only in December. We want to have a school that is running full time on a daily basis. We want to employ people, professional people, align our curriculum, with the national curriculum, and work properly like that. So this is the assistance that I have been waiting on for a long time, and I have been having. We have a trust document, Zion Trust. As New Race Consciousness, we have developed the Zion Trust as a financial vehicle, to administer all these things. We have developed the Star Order 5-year plan. We have a 5-year report for our first activities for the first 5 years. Now we have developed another Star Order 5-year plan, because according to the teachings of Marcus Garvey and the teachings of His Majesty, we understand that we need to plan our work like that, and so that we can translate it into a workable program. So it's a 5-year plan that will narrow down and translate into maybe smaller year plans. So that's how I operate. So right now, our current 5-year plan costs about 255 million, based on our projections on the things that I wanted to achieve. So it needs serious fundraising activities, which is what I now is trying to initiate, maybe a year-long fundraising activity, because we realize that actually without funds, all our aspirations and all the plans that I have will remain mere plans. We need implementation, and we realize that finances.
That is where we are right now globally, is really establishing the economic base so that we can implement the development and industrialization of the Rastafari movement. So in terms of the membership of NRC, what is the current membership in terms of numbers would they estimate?
Yes, sir. The current membership, other members have not yet renewed their membership as yet, but we count them as members, even though they may not be considered as maybe active.
They might not
members.
be live. Hold on, one second. We were talking about the membership.
The membership, yes, sir.
Yeah, just loose numbers, because as a man that has mobilized in several organizations, I know how the membership goes, and sometimes it may not be 100% up to speed. That is actually something that we're focusing on right now across the board in all of the organizations that I'm dealing with that are Rastafari, is tightening up the membership. But just generally, if I estimate how many ones are connected to the NRC.
Well, from my previous list, it's just been load shedding here in South Africa. We've got a problem of load shedding in any case. I think it was around 59 members,
Okay.
because actually it's very challenging to have a lot of members, because remember, based on the requirements of NRC, ones need already be aligned in institutions, and actually it's not a lot of Rastafari ones and ones who are in or at institutions of higher learning in the numbers and I would want them to be. But those that have heeded the call, because through Rastafari Appreciation Society in universities of higher learning is how you could feed membership also into NRC. So we make use of the Rastafari student organizations to also feed mostly our membership, but we also headhunt, and try to identify ones and ones whom and I think may be a strategy for the works that would have been outlined in the 5-year plans of the organization and things like that. So we are now on a recruitment drive to also get more ones, because other ones could have been effect of maybe they did not understand the intentions at the time, or how the things were presented, how the aims and objectives were being presented. Maybe it was not to the fullness. So I understand that we need time also with ones and ones to frequently remind ones and ones also, and conduct more road shows around the organization and the importance of ones and ones to be members. Because even with the OAU, how it started, remember, it started, it was the initiative of the elder Kwame Nkrumah with the 8 countries, 1958. His Majesty was also had sent his son, and then immediately invited them to come over to Ethiopia, and it was 32 countries, and now it's 50 something countries. So we believe in the gradual process of progress, even in these works, especially when we invoke the name of His Majesty Haile Selassie. So, and we believe that where 2 or 3 are gathered in the name of His Majesty, more can be done, So it's not more about quantity per se, it's also about the quality of the work and the capacity and the skill. That's why we emphasize on the skill. And currently, my queen is actually an educator. She is at the Central University. We are all from the Central University of Technology here in Velkom. She is a teacher. She taught in many different schools. In Abed School, she also taught at the university. She lectured at the university. I also lectured at the university as a part-time lecturer for 4 years. She's now busy with her PhD in education management. I'm now currently busy with my PhD at the University of South Africa in the human resource management. So Aina is trying to prepare Aina herself for these greater works, that His Majesty set out for Ethiopia, because him declared that Africa awaits its creators. So Aina is trying to prepare the tools, and His Majesty said education is the tool. So that's how I know.
Yes, I. Very crucial, and that's why I wanted to interview the eye here, and let the eye know that the Lion Voice Network is the eye network, so the eye can share this video even with the brethren and sisters in South Africa to bring more awareness on the works that the eye is doing, because the eye is outlining the vision and the mission. And that is one of the reasons that I built the Lion Voice Network, is so that
Yes.
even though, you know, ones, and in my analytics still, South Africa is one of the countries that does come up. So prayerfully, ones who are in different states that the eye don't know can even see this and reach out to the eye. If, you know, providing that they qualify so we can strengthen this, because we need a world-class educational institution with a Rastafari curricula that has not yet been
See,
achieved globally. And it would be a
see.
mighty strength. And it sounds like, you know, the two places that could execute it the easiest would be Jamaica or South Africa in terms of the most Rastafari with university education concentrated in a region. So we want to strengthen the eye. I'm also going to put the eye in contact with, we have an organization here called Social Crew, which we have ones like Dr. Jelani Naya, Dr. Ras Wayne Rose, Dr. Mama Walete, Beresford, uh, Sister Colleen Douglas. You know, there are many who are part of this organ. Jake Womiak from Smithsonian. But it's mostly doctors in there, you know, and I think Jake Womiak is a doctor too. So there's a lot of ones that are there that I can connect with, and they are on the journey of establishing a Rastafari University. You know, I think they're looking at an online model initially. Dr. Robert Shillingford, and I don't want to not call any names, but you know, it's a bunch of Rastafari who are in academia who are coming together to really, and they do a summer program where they take university students to Jamaica. So, you know, perhaps a program where they take students to South Africa could also be established, you know, because many of them are professors in the university system as well. So we're going to make that connection. And this is, again, one of the things that I built this channel for. You know, I'll send this to Dr. Naya in Jamaica. But that being said, in terms of um, the funding, what kind of activities are the item looking at in terms of funding? Well, first, you threw out a big number, which was millions of rand. What is that? Does the I know what that translates in dollars? The budget?
Well, I got the South African rand is about $20. Yeah, I mean, the one American dollar is South African 20 rands. $1 American is South African 20 rands.
Okay.
So,
So what was that number again? We're gonna do the maths right now, families, cause
okay, 255 million rands. That would be maybe divided by 20, I think.
yes, 255. That's about 12 million US is what you're looking at.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Twelve
sir.
million
You
seven
know,
hundred and fifty thousand.
yes, I because well in the plan, some of the activities would be repetitive. Hence, even their budget are not is not that extravagant, you know. But we were looking at activities such as your NRC school essay fairs, like continentally also, because we're trying to be doing it at a small scale now, trying to develop quiz and essays for little children to participate during Good Africa Day, your leaders and things like that write about something, and then we assess it because we're also helping in terms of academic writing skills. So we're trying to, empower ones and ones with the academic writing skills while they're still young and tender, as new race. And also trying to raise funds for victims of all natural disasters that could be. We remember sometime it was in Haiti, so we could raise funds for anywhere where there are natural disasters. And we want to also create an artist association where we can develop or arrange and organize your festivals, around the country and around the continent. Because also there's a need to develop a lot of talent of ones, and also to conscientize a lot of ones so that they are able to teach, because even through music and other artistic expressions, that's how education can be able also to transfer from ones and ones. And then community food gardens, because here in South Africa, unfortunately, the land is still in the hands of the former colonizers. Even the government has not yet been able to reclaim the land to even be able to redistribute the land to the people. So currently, you find people are still gardening in their yards, little yards. So New Race also try to encourage, because other people are not inclined to planting. People don't plant, and there's a whole lot of poverty. People are not even taught how to plant. They don't even know the seasons to plant. They don't even have seeds. So we come and try to bring that love of gardening and planting, and once producing their own attire, so that they are self-reliant and self-sufficient. So the planting of trees, because also the climate change and the global warming, you find mostly the places in the townships and the locations, there are no trees. But when you go to the towns where white people live, you find it's lush, it's green, it's fresh, but
Yes.
when you come here, you find these challenges. We also want to develop debates, organize debates, NRC debates, where we empower ones and ones to be able to articulate and express on issues, because we want to participate also at ECOSOC. NRC has also affiliated with the AU organs like your ECOSOC and the United Nations, because we want to capacitate ourselves now to be able to, participate at that level, continue with the work of His Majesty to make sure that there's world peace, We want to campaign also for the Amharic, because we've seen now for economic purposes, somehow Mandarin can be campaigned for to be taught in African languages. So we also want Amharic, since South Africa says it is the leader of a decolonial movement. If they are genuine in their declaration that they are a leader of a decolonial movement, therefore South Africa needs to lead the campaign to bring Amharic studies in schools, primary schools, secondary or high schools, and tertiary level. And there are Ethiopian communities living in South Africa. There can be a very easy exchange happening. We could get experts, Amharic experts. They are right here. So it's just a matter of arrangement. Even if it's not through government, and Rastafari communities on our own, we can offer to make payments to the Ethiopians for them to give us offers like services of teaching Amharic. And then in terms of the repatriation and reparation, we're trying to help even once and once develop proper policies, because I understand that from the 1969 OAU declaration to help immigration, actually the OAU had already developed documents to assist once and once to repatriate from one country to another. So it is just for INI to develop programs of action around that as a community, hand in hand with the AU, And then the Addis Ababa University, because I understand how it had been renamed Addis Ababa University. We wanted to be renamed back into Haile Selassie the First University. Even the Empress Menen School had changed the name initially, but I understand now it has been renamed Empress Menen School. So New Race Consciousness wants the renaming of Addis Ababa University back into Haile Selassie University, and this will take a serious campaign.
Mm-hmm. I think it's gonna happen. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be. They hid the knowledge of His Majesty from that generation. So it's a very ambitious development plan that the item have laid out. 12 million. What type of activities are the item looking at to fund this, monumental plan?
Yes, we had earlier actually engaged with the ancient Jabulani, because the ancient Jabulani Travel Hall is one of the repatriates who came initially born in England and lived among Rastafari communities in different parts of the world, and now is in South Africa, has repatriated this side. So we have been in a lot of engagements with the elder. he has been guiding I also to try and develop some of the works, so he understands that he can, with the strength that he has, he could organize, however he could try to organize. We're looking at what's reachable, what's doable, mostly the reggae shows, because the ancient is in touch with a lot of ones. He was also indicating that I should assist him to develop and draft that artist association thing, which I did assist and assisted him with, and I drafted it for the ancient. So I'm sure that the ancient is busy engaging the other items that he was saying he was going to engage and work with there. So that's one ancient. We had also made him the patron member. We made him aware that we had made him a patron member of our Zion Trust. That is now our fundraising vehicle. We were hoping to make use of that fundraising vehicle actually to support our programs. So we were not in any rush.
The trust has been established already.
Yeah.
The trust has been established already.
The trust has been, yes, it had been established already. We have 3 trustees. I am one of the trustees as Secretary General. There's one independent trustee. There are 2 trustees who are members of the organization and 1 trustee who's an independent trustee. And we keep reporting to the Master of the High Court in terms of the progress we have made, and the auditor in terms of the transactions that we would have entered into in the name of the organization. But we have not really engaged in any major fundraising activity that would accumulate into the trust fund. The only fundraising activities that we're having is just to carry out some minor administrative activities. We also opened a bank account, but for the trust fund, we are talking now serious funds that we want to invest in that for those particular works that would have been outlined, like your literacy commission. We have a literacy commission fund. We want to fund bursaries, to students who have just completed matric, because some of Rastafari students who complete matric, they don't have funds to go to universities. Some of them, the loans that government give is limited. Some don't get to qualify. So we want to be able to be in a position as New Race Consciousness to fund and give bursaries to those students who just completed the matric, who may not have any form of support, especially those of Rastafari.
Serious. The thing I would say to the eye is that I would, instead of the reggae shows or in conjunction with the reggae shows, I would really look at agriculture. I just interviewed Ikula Rastafari, an elder in California, who accumulated great wealth as a result of his agricultural agribusiness, planting different cash crops. And the brethren was able to use that to fund his music career. He's a well-known artist all over Europe and Africa. Do I know Ikula?
Well, I saw the Ikula from the ICE interview with him.
Yes.
Yes, I got to see the whole video.
Okay.
I got to get the energy, give thanks. Yes.
So you see, I think that because I'm in the entertainment industry, and the festivals it takes a long time before they are profitable. You have the big crowd, but the expenses, a lot of time, it does not, a lot of people see the crowd and think that these people are millionaires. A lot of time you lose money for the first 3 years before you even make any money forward because of all of the expenses, the permitting, security, the stage alone, sound. There's so many expenses with a festival that, sometimes we don't look at that. Sometimes you spend $250,000 production costs, and you don't get the crowd or the rain or something. Anything can happen. So what I would recommend for the South Africa and the item in particular is investing in agro business. I and I are developing an ITAL standard, ITAL certification standard with a trademark. We could see how we could collaborate to introduce the ITAL standard in South Africa, because the world will always need food. And with all of the GMO pesticide food that's happening right now, I think that Rastafari can really control a niche market on the continent as people become more health conscious. And this is a multi-billion-dollar a year enterprise if we do it right and we start small. And we also need to bring forward cultivation as part of Rastafari culture. Because you heard what the elder said when he was young, every Ras was a farmer, you know,
Yes,
and they
sir.
were
Yes, sir.
self-reliant. But
Yes,
now
sir.
we come in this, everyone wants to go to the studio to make music and they're all poor. We have no money, we're struggling in poverty, we have nothing to give, and we languish as a community. So this is would be, you know, as a big brother to the eye, this would be Iman recommendation is let us see how we can work together to invest in agriculture and a agricultural base, and then also multimedia, because when you have these farms now, you can be shooting content, you can shoot your music video on the farm, you can do all of the different vibration around the land and the farm and the wealth that is there, you know, and these things can be controlled and owned by the land trust. But that's just Iman sound as a big brother. I want the I to tell I and I, you said that you trotted into the Nyabingi house. How did that connection with the Nyabingi house start for the I?
Well, well, fortunately for Ayman, it was just that my cousin is the one who actually encountered the Nyabingi house before I did, you know, and the eyes were already like already in the eyes and hailing His Majesty, you know, to the fullness. So when Ayman went to the house, it was like a whole new set of experience for Ayman, you know, because even I remember one elder was just there teasing Ayman, asking how many of I and I here know that Haile Selassie is the Almighty, you know. So that is what lingered in Ayman, you know, until I went and did my own tara research, because I also had to make Ayman own decision in terms of the faith, because
Yes.
even that speaks to everyone. If you are talking about the Almighty, it's for everyone. So if I have to accept that this Majesty is the Almighty, I have to understand how that is, you know. So I wanted to find that being curious to find that out for myself, even though that we know that we cannot really understand the fullness of the Most High even all at once. So well,
Hold
after I
on,
did
come
my
again, come
sessions,
again, come again,
even
because the
I got
Wi-Fi.
access even to oh,
Hold on, hold
okay,
on.
okay.
Come again, because the Wi-Fi
Yes, sir.
cut out. So start again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
It's load shedding on my part, so I guess that's the reason. So I'm saying, basically, I heard from the elders who was asking I know that His Majesty is the Almighty, you know. So that you know, inspired Ayman to go and conduct further research into His Majesty's divinity. And when I got access to a lot of books that actually outline His Majesty temporally, you know, and even his role, what he did with the church, how he administered, you know, and his titles, you know, he's the Lion of Judah, he's the light of the world, and I got to study him, you know. Even currently, you find the study is just continuous because it has not ended from 2001 until now. The study is just continuing. But I found myself now being the one who, by just that or little guidance of the elders, coming to the light of Rastafari, because I'm lucky I went to the house of Nyabingi. So since I went to the house of Nyabingi, even though some of the teachings the elders were not fully understanding, but at least I could get documents and read for myself and understand even things that the elders, they could not understand, because I went to you know, English speaking school, so things that are written here I could understand, I could relate with, you know, and I want to perfect myself in this that, you know, is documented here, so that I can also be an example to them, so they can see how this manifests, you know. So it was an IRA experience to an extent that they got even to respect the elders, because they got to realize earlier that I was also at institutions of learning. So they exploited that the fact that I was at institutions of learning. So my elders from my local house got to benefit a lot from information. They were not too indifferent from information that came, like mystic information, Kemetic information, Ethiopian information, South African information, and all information that just aligned with His Majesty. So later we also got to understand that, His Majesty was actually even involved in the South African struggle from long time. Even in the 30s, South Africans were themselves involved in the struggle against Mussolini. We had people here, the Zulus, the chiefs here were volunteering. There were people who were volunteering. There are poems which are written by people here who were declaring that they are going to fight against Italy that side. There were some people who were not allowed, who were denied by the apartheid government to go and assist Ethiopia that side. His Majesty is reported to have created 30 scholarships for orphans of those who fell during the 1960 massacre. You remember in 1960, there are leaders from the Pan-Africanist Congress who marched towards the police station demanding that the passes should not be used and that they will leave their passes at home. So the police shot about 69 people. I mean, they shot more people, but 69 people died. So the children of those people who died, His Majesty created 30 scholarships for 30 of those, to study. I don't know whether they studied in Ethiopia or they studied in the institutions of their choice, but the scholarships were created. But not only for the South Africans, once also in Lesotho, like all over the continent, His Majesty had created scholarships for once and once. So we realized that, so in the perspective of His Majesty, it is education that is going to develop. And now having to come across now, Bomotimo Plano, clarifying now about the 7 seals and education, he just fulfilled it for Iman. So it was easy even for INI elders because you could break it down in the language of the elders, which is also where INI also need to be, because even the speeches of His Majesty, you find they are written in English. Marcus Garvey, all these things are written in English, and many of INI elders are not inclined, are not proficient in the language. So there's also even our elders, those who could love His Majesty, who could embrace His Majesty, Rastafari. But because of the language, we also have a responsibility of trying to, translate the
Wi-Fi is
languages, the speeches of His Majesty in the African now, trying to look at how, and I could. Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, the Wi-Fi was chipping out. So say what I was saying again about the translation into languages for the elders.
I'm saying that there's a need for INI to translate the teachings of especially His Majesty Haile Selassie, Empress Menen, and Marcus Garvey in the African languages. And there's also initiatives which have been taken by INI communities translating some of the chants, in the African languages, although the job really is to compose, more new chants in the African languages, but they are also trying to make initiatives to take the already existing and also try to translate them into the African languages, keeping the same rhythm, the same 1-2 beat, So and there's also initiatives of INI trying to teach INI people from the living spora INI languages, but there are many different languages that INI use this side. For example, Elder Jabulane, when he came, he's been given the name Jabulani, which is a Zulu name for be happy, or we are happy, And then Mama Moses, Queen Mother Moses, as she told her man, she got married and she's her name now, maiden name is Palesa. That means a rose, in the African languages. So that's a Sotho name. It's in Sotho, not Xhosa, not Zulu. That one is Sotho, Palesa, So these are the type of things that, and there's also another one, Elder Mokapi, I think it's Mokapi, and that one is also in Sesotho. Mokapi means a composer,
Okay.
So beyond the names, there's more that needs to be done in terms of the language as well, because we must also go to Amharic, because I understand Amharic is scientific, it has numerology, it has poetry, and it is not colonial. It was not developed by the Europeans or the Asians or anyone. It is indigenous in Africa, and it's the only one that is still original. I can be using Sesotho right now. You see my name, how it's written there. It's Tulon Polo. But I can assure you, those are Greek alphabets that are there. They are not Ethiopian syllables or inscriptions. So even these languages that we use, they have a colonial taint. They are stranded by colonialism to an extent.
Because they don't have a written form. Most of the African languages don't have a written tradition. They're oral traditions. So Amharic is, are the most ancient surviving African languages that have an actual script. As you say, that's not based off of any Latin characters. So I say that I think that Amharic should be the national language of the continent of the United Africa. It should be the universal language, and I put it over Swahili because Swahili still use the Latin script.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that in the African, we have the Ethiopia, Addis Ababa headquartering, Africa, and yet the Ethiopian language is not recognized nor even used over Arabic and English and French in the Organization of African Unity, when the Organization of African Unity is for decolonial Africa and for united Africa. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. There's still a lot of conscientization that I would need to make, in the leaders of AU, because even we need to climb the ladder of being the rightful leaders, take our rightful place, and actually lead the AU in the right direction, because the inaction of those that could have acted is the one that will ensure evil at the end of the day. The silence of the voice of justice, the indifference of those who should know better, is the one that will lead to undesirables, as the emperor puts it. So I need to do what I need to do while time still allows. Lest resort be had to less happy needs.
Yes, so what's in the future for New Race Consciousness? Give us what the goals, how the global family can assist with the works, because one of the things we want to do with these interviews is to highlight the workers, but then also give an opportunity and a bridge for ones who want to strengthen those workers in their work. So how can the global family assist in the New Race Consciousness work, and what is the future priorities?
Yes, the future priorities of NRC basically is to get in touch with the Ethiopian Crown Council. As I know, the Ethiopian Crown Council is the custodians of the teachings of Emperor Haile Selassie and Empress Mene, and even the royal family and the history of the royal family in general. I would also like to get in touch with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, because I understand that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is the one that christened His Majesty, crowned His Majesty, that recognized His Majesty, that gave him the attributes that I recognize His Majesty as the Almighty in this day. So the United Nations is also a very important institution that I want to form strategic working relations with, because New Race Consciousness is an organization that was called for by His Majesty in that very institution of the United Nations. We also want to work with the AU. We are already affiliated with the ECOSOC, so we want to make meaningful contribution at that continental level. And we are aiming to augment our membership with ones and ones from different parts of the world, the global community, ones and ones who are willing to also take up the responsibility of New Race Consciousness to establish areas of their residence that could be vital, and then we establish a proper communication channel and accounting lines. I think that would assist NRC very much. But we are aiming at advancing the works of His Majesty within the OAU, and I understand that our point of departure is the OAU, but NRC is a global entity based on the figure of His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie and Empress Menen. But our point of departure is from the African point of view.
Give thanks, and share if you have any social media, email, how one can contact the eye directly.
Yes, we have members of a new race at gmail.com. That's our email address, members of a new race at gmail.com. And I also have a Facebook page where also I try to make quiz there and ask some questions and share information, share some files, share some books. New Race Consciousness is a group, a Facebook group. You can either indicate your interest to join, or you can give us your name so that we can invite you, so that you can be a member in the group. We also have a New Race Consciousness YouTube channel where we upload videos of activities or information about His Majesty and Empress Menen that prove very vital in the works of New Race Consciousness. I still not have a website, and I anticipate to have a website soon. INA is making arrangements with once who are experts and going to assist INA in that regard. And shortly, INA will be having the website, because it has not actually been too long since INA have resumed the activities as New Race Consciousness. So INA are working at creating all platforms that are able to reach out to once in terms of support, even the works, even if they are not members, just support the works of NRC. Membership is open to everyone, whether they are Africans or not Africans, Europeans, Asians, as long as one is willing to abide by what Emperor Haile Selassie and Empress Menen put forward as progressive teachings.
Give thanks. And this is just going to be a part one. We will follow up, as soon as we secure some more information about the event that is being planned. I'll bring the eye forward to talk about that and the other works. As I said, my brother, I would recommend for the New Race Consciousness to focus on establishing an economic foundation. I would really implore the IDM to focus on agribusiness, agricultural education, which the IDM have started to, have some aspects in terms of the tree planting and the different things, but agriculture, because we need to secure our communities' food, self-reliance, and from that we can start to now generate the income that we need to invest in the other areas, and we'll have a solid base because we'll be able to feed ourselves. So I think everyone, all hands on deck, every Rastafari organization right now needs to look at food and water security, so that we can set, His Majesty said that agriculture is a prerequisite to industrialization, So we have to build our economic base as a family so that 12 million that the eye looking for, could be attainable. Yes, the music is islandful, but as someone who has been in the music, who has represented many promoters, I can tell the eye that most promoters right now are looking to diversify because it's such an up and down business. So, brethren, I just want to give thanks for the eye coming forward to the Lion Voice Network. Give thanks for reaching out. Give thanks for being such a wonderful educational guest here on the Lion Talk, direct from South Africa. Family, this is another one. The time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion Voice.
Lion Voice.
Lion Voice.
Well, great is the Almighty, and greatly to be praised in the city of Haile Selassie I, the mountain of His holiness.
Yeah, from Cape to Cairo, from Timbuktu to the Nile, you know, the whole entire continent.
Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, from Accra to Addis Ababa.
Yes, it's beautiful continent, better control, Mama Africa.
Very beautiful.
From Cape to Cairo, from Timbuktu to the Nile, I smile for Mama.
I hear you call Mama Africa. Been so long since I see Mama. Father of Africa set the law. The lion come and dismantle Babylon flaw. We gonna use solar energy, use sanitation to build the ecology. We utilizing green technology. We hailing Haile Selassie first without apology. And then we build the youth them economy. We dismantle Babylon monopoly. We teach the youths them how to live properly. Tell them make sure them got the title for them property.
Yes, this beautiful continent, better control, Mama Africa. From Cape to Cairo, from Timbuktu to the Nile, I smile for Mama Africa.
I love you, Mama. Your heart never harden. I wanna turn all your slums into garden. I wanna stop all of your youths from starving. I wanna stop all of your tribes from warring. So much to say, so many feelings. We both been hurt, we both need healing. Since the League of Nations you've been appealing. You stand up against them backdoor dealing. And I hear you call Mama Africa. Been so long since I see Mama. Father of Africa set the law. The lion come and dismantle Babylon flaw. Then I hear you call Mama Africa. Been so long in America. Father of Africa set the law. The lion come and dismantle Babylon flaw.
So be still, all enemies of Jah. Know that He's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the Lion Conqueror. And it was said of Ethiopia, the highest himself shall establish her. His Majesty was born there.